Hi everybody. In this episode of Toysbackzen, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I got this model kit from a lot of stuff probably about over a year ago, and I did say in that video that I was probably going to be doing something with this kit, and today is the day. This is I believe, a 1978 MPC Luke Skywalker X-Wing model. It is about 12 inches long, and it's about 10 and a little bit inches wide. It's about 30 and a half centimeters or 305 millimeters, and it's about 26 centimeters or 260 millimeters wide. So obviously this has been built. They did make a X-Wing fighter that was snap fit, but that is not this one. And I think that all of the parts are here. It's obviously being put together. The wings are still together, so they're not broken. And you can, this was designed that you could display it with the wings open or closed. My intentions with this is to make it look like Red 5. Right now it doesn't really have the Red 5 markings, and I'm going to be painting that. I might keep this sticker, but I'm going to have to remove it. And I believe I have all of the other parts in here. I kind of went through it when I first got this just to see. We've got some landing gear and the doors for the landing gear. We've got the engines for the front, the 3 engines that are missing in the back. We've got the lasers, 1, 2, 3, 4 lasers. The front landing gear, I believe, is this one. And the door for the front landing gear. Now there should be 4 of these pieces here. One of them is connected here on this laser, and 2 of them are still on the ship. We've got everything here. We even have the pilot. I'm going to try to take this canopy off, and I will try to repaint that. I'm going to repaint this whole thing. I'm going to take the stickers off, try to save them, repaint this whole thing. It wasn't done very well. It was probably done by a kid. And see if we can make this thing look like Red 5. So if you're into that, we're going to restore this model and repaint it. So here's a picture of Red 5. I'm going to put it up here on the top corner, and we can look to see what Red 5 really looked like. And this is going to be my paint job. And so first of all, I'm going to get these stickers off, and I'm going to give it a clean. Everything is plastic, so I can clean it really well in the sink. I'm not going to film the cleaning process. I'm just going to use warm water and some dish soap, and we'll get this thing cleaned up. Another thing is that this paint is an oil-based paint. It was probably like enamel or something like that. I used alcohol swabs, tried to remove the black and gray paint just to see what would happen, and the paint did not budge. If it was acrylic paint, I could remove that with alcohol and a toothbrush, but that is not the case here. So we're going to try to figure that out. We'll get this cleaned up first, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what kind of glue I'm going to use and what kind of paint I'm going to use, and we'll get these stickers off. Now, I already started doing that. They were actually pretty easy to come off. I took this side one off here, and I took the ones off of the bottom. These smaller ones, I can't get my fingers in there enough to pull them off. So I'm going to use some lighter fluid to get at those ones. These ones here are pretty easy. This one's the easiest just because there's a seam there, and once you get it started, it's just getting these started actually. This one will be easier. It's kind of lifting up already. Once you get that started, this one's actually coming up easier than the other one. That's it. So these ones here, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's get the rest of these off. So I'm going to do that off camera Actually, I'll do this one really quick. I don't want to ruin the clearness of this of the paint of the sticker, so you got to be careful. But also, these stickers are really thick and really similar to G.I. Joe stickers from the 80s. They just come right off. You just don't want to stretch them out too much. All right, I'll do that off camera and clean this up, and I'll come back. Okay, so we got everything all cleaned with soap and water, and I got all the goo off from the stickers. And I did say that this was all complete, but there is a couple things. Actually, I thought this was missing, this piece here. It's on the back of the thrusters. And I was just going to make it, and then I looked down underneath my table, and it must have fallen on the floor when I took everything out of the little baggie that all the loose parts were in. So I'm grateful for that. I could make that pretty easily, but I'm happy that I don't have to now. I can spend more time getting this ready for paint. So yes, everything is complete here. The only thing that's missing is the stand. I believe there was a clear stand that it came with, and unfortunately this doesn't have it. I'll probably make a stand for it, and because I do want to have it dynamic on the shelf. I do want it to display it with the wings out. It shows in the instructions. I'll show you the instructions here up on the right hand corner here. It does show that these wings can be open or closed. It was designed that way, but it seems like I don't know if it's broken here and it was supposed to be like sturdy in there, or if it was supposed to stay like that, or is it, obviously it's not supposed to be glued in because we need to be able to open these wings. So I'm wondering if it just wasn't put together right, or there's a piece missing inside that holds that together. But it is missing the stand. You can see the two holes on the bottom here where it snaps in. Now what I'm going to do is, before I paint this, I'm going to get rid of some of this glue that's on here. If there's any raised glue parts that I can't hide with paint, I'm going to file that down or sand it down, and just try to clean it up a little tiny bit. The kid that did this used a lot of glue in some parts, so I want to of course do that, and then I'm going to probably either prime this or give it at least a base coat of gray, a matte gray. I do want to pull the canopy off and repaint on the inside, but also repaint Luke Skywalker in here. He wasn't painted very well. Okay, so I got everything scraped up, and I mean, there's not much I could do about this canopy. I did scrape some off, but if I scrape that glue off the inside, I think it's on the inside of this, it's just going to make this opaque. And I want to be able to see through it even though there is a little bit of glue on that. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. I managed to get all the raised areas. Now the glue that's here I'm not worried about because I'm going to be gluing that back down anyway. I'm not going to take this apart to try to paint it, but I do have some primer that is in a spray can, and I think what I'll do is I'll glue it all together first and then give it a primer, and I'll prime everything. Let's get this all glued back together. This is the fun part. So I had to add a piece to this. Obviously it was broken. I went to glue it on, as you can see, and it was not the right angle, so I realized that a piece just similar to that broke off. So I just put some Lego on there, plastic welded it. So far I've used the contact cement. This works okay, and it hardens, somewhat quickly. Not as fast as maybe CA glue or plastic weld, but it still works. But it's so sticky, and it's probably the same kind of glue they used on this before, and it's just messy. It drips everywhere. It's it leaves strands of glue as you pull it away. I find it very rubbery, so it's probably more like a rubber cement. It does say that it's good for plastic, vinyl, metal, tile, leather, and rubber. So it's more like something that you would use for, I think, rubber or leather, because you can move it once it's dry. So let me just cut that off, and then we'll glue it. This already has this section here still glued on, and it fits just into, and I've already sanded this down to make it flush, so it should go into there really nice. So building models, it's sometimes a waiting game. You got to glue things together, let it dry, and that's why I like using Accelerator, because you can do it all in one go. So I'm going to quickly accelerate this. Let that sit for a few minutes, and not even a few minutes, a few seconds, and it should be pretty good. And that is as solid as a rock. Love that. Perfect. So now I'm going to put the landing gear, the back landing gear doors on. I'm going to use my Bondine again. Since that's already kind of together, I should be able to let that seep into those cracks, and it should create a bond. Get in the right angle here. There we go. Needed some glue to hold that in place. All right, it's starting to look pretty complete and pretty good. I just have to get the lasers on. We've got one on already. The best way, I think, to get these other ones on is not just by gluing them in like this. I'm going to have to put something in there to reinforce it. I've got this little piece of styrene, and I'm going to drill a hole using my pin vise, using a bit that's appropriate to that same size. And I'm going to drill that in, stick that in there, drill the pilot hole into this, and attach it using crazy glue. Should give us a pretty strong bond. So let's get started with that. All right, that should be good. And now we are ready. You should be pretty on there pretty good. Now this here, I'm thinking about taking this off and pulling all of this apart. It's kind of on there on an angle, and you can see that here. But the rest of them, they are pretty good. This one here is on an angle too. This one here, but I think it's this one that's on an angle. It would be nice to pull these off without breaking anything. I might try that off camera and do it the same way as I did the cockpit. And if I'm successful, I'll show you, and then I'm going to re-glue those on after I sand a little bit. Then we're going to take this out and give it a good primer coat. So that's exciting. Then we can really start painting the detail back on this. All right, the primer is all dried and it looks much better. You can see all the details now. I'm glad I took some time and sanded some of that excess glue off. It made it look much better, but also the laser cannons here, they were really bugging me, and I had to remove a couple of them, and I just couldn't leave it like that. So with some force, I broke the bottom left cannon off, cleaned the area off with the old glue, and re-glued the two bottom pieces back together. And after some fitting and sanding, I got a much better result. So let's get into painting, which is the real reason why I'm doing this, mostly for the practice and experience. Let's see what happens. Here we go. All right, I've let the off-white color, as you could see when I was mixing, I did put a little yellow in this. It's a little bit too much yellow, but I think it's going to look great because I'm going to put a lot of layers on this, and I've got a lot of techniques that I'm going to try for the first time. I've watched a lot of Adam Savage's Tested, and he's had a lot of guests on his show, and I mean, everybody that he has on there, they're all just amazing at what they do. You can see I've whitened it on the inside. And so I'm going to put a layer of just pure white on this. And it seems like maybe I should have put white first and then the yellow for the weathering and stuff like that. But I have a technique that I'm going to try. I'm not really sure if I've seen anybody do this before, but I'm using acrylic paint, and I'm going to try a technique for the weathering. But before I do the weathering, I really need to put just a bunch of white on this. So I'm going to show you. I'm not going to do this with a paintbrush. I do not want to show paintbrush marks, even though you can see that with this yellow, but we're going to be able to hide that in the weathering. So we're going to just use a plain white, and I've got just this inexpensive Deco Art satin, and it's called Cotton Ball. And we're just going to add this to it, and I'm going to be using just a cloth, and I'm going to try to dab it From what I've learned by watching over the years people doing this, is the more layers the better. And I think that it matters what layers you put on, and I might have those layers maybe in a wrong order, but we're going to try this out. I've just got some of that white, cotton white, and I'm hoping I can just kind of brush that on like this. Yeah, because it's pretty wet, and I don't want to get fingerprints and all that kind of stuff on it. So I'm going to let that sit, and then I'll come back, and I'm not going to show this on camera, but I'll come back and I will finish the inside of the wings. I got these two here, I believe, but these two in here has to get done. And just kind of gonna go along over it and make sure there's no um, big blotches of paint and stuff like that, and get in some of these nooks and crannies too. But I'm gonna do that once this first layer is dry, and we'll come back. All right, everything is dry, and I started taking some isopropyl alcohol and on a Q-tip, and not only was I cleaning up some of my mess that I did up here, too much white on the primer gray, but I was actually using it to take away some of this acrylic paint, and I didn't think it would take the primer off too, but it did over here. So I've got like 3 layers of color. That I've got a yellow, I've got some white over top of that, I've got some gray primer, and I've got the white plastic underneath it. So you can take this and make any kind of weathering that you want. Um, it's just a process that I'm trying out just to see, but it's good for taking acrylic off of the other paint, because I got some white up on these black, and probably most of the weathering that I do will probably clean that up, but I just wanted to see if I could do some weathering using alcohol and just taking some of this off. So I'm going to try that right here. I'm going to take some paint off here. It may just make it look like it's getting weathered in battle. And I'm not going to do this everywhere because I'm going to be using paint to do that mostly, but just wanted to try it out a couple places here. That looks cool. See if I can make this, take some color off of that, take some white off of that, get some color underneath it. Yeah, make that look like it's weathered and stuff. So I've done that, and it's starting to look pretty good. Next, what I want to do is these wings drooping like that. It's really bugging me. So I'm going to see if I can fix this. I did have the instructions on how this was put together. It's really similar to how the Kenner version is put together, where these wings, the way they're put together, is pretty much the same idea. I'm going to drill a hole right into here, and hopefully it will go to the point where I can put a piece of styrene or plastic in here and connect these wings to this. I know that these wings come together and there's a little circle there, so I'm hoping that I can put something in there to at least hold the wings in one position instead of them doing this. Shouldn't take long. If we glue that in somewhere, I'm hoping I can thread the needle here. Okay, so I managed to drill that out. There is a piece of plastic that goes from here to here like a tube, and this was hitting the back of that, so I had to drill farther into it and line this up. And now I've got the wings. They kind of bounce a little bit, but once I think I glue this in, I'm not going to glue it into the wings. I'm just going to glue it into here, and at least it'll keep these wings a little bit more stable and centered, so that when I open them up, there's just a little bit too much paint on the little pins that hold them in right here. So I had to figure out what to do with that. But anyway, it opens and stays open, and it closes and stays closed. I think I'll just cut that off. And that's it. Okay, so let's do some more weathering. I'm going to be using this Vallejo silver. I'm going to be using some Vallejo acrylic black for some dry brushing, and I've got to use some yellow for some of the yellow accents, and I have to use some blue, some really light kind of a gray blue, so I'll be using some blue and white and black to get that color. And this will be we should be able to use that flat blue to get that color. So we'll do some mixing and some dry brushing and some painting and some weathering. Here we go. I'm going to make a black wash, and I think this will tie this whole model together. A couple things that I will say about this is I think I've made a little bit too much battle damage on this. It's a little bit too battle damaged, but looking at pictures from the movies, there are certain instances where you see the ship look pretty dirty like this. So I'm going to just go with that. So first of all, I'm going to make my own wash. I've done this before, but I never really use a surfactant. And what a surfactant is I've got water, I've got acrylic, paint, and I've got a little bit of dishwashing liquid. What this surfactant does is it reduces the surface tension of the water so that it goes into the nooks and crannies and just doesn't flow everywhere. I'm actually going to put a lot of paint in this. I may have had too much water from the beginning, so adding some paint hopefully will make it pretty good. I don't want this too black because I just want to highlight some of the textures, although I've pretty much highlighted everything with dry brushing and all that stuff. But let's see what happens when we add a little black wash to this. And then you're supposed to wipe it off. Yeah, and I think that gives some of the texture I think that I want. So let's try to do this all the way around here. Not sure if that's doing anything. Anyway, we'll keep doing this and see. So here's the final result of Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. It's the MPC 1978 model. And I think it turned out really good. This was an experiment to see how to paint weathering and to see if I could get good at it. And I like the looks of this model. I like the looks of what I've done. I'm glad I fixed the laser guns here. I think it looks much better now that they're parallel with each other. I had a hard time figuring out what to do here. There's so many examples online, and when you look on the movie, you can't really get a good look at what the actual Red 5 looks like with all the details and everything. And also, I think the reason why this originally came with a sticker that went all the way across, if you look on the movie A New Hope, you'll notice that all of the X-Wings in the hangar, including the one that Luke Skywalker gets into, this line is continuous. It almost looks like they made all of the X-Wings in the hangar exactly the same. When they put them in action in the movie, you would see the difference between the two, so you could tell the difference between a Red 5, Red 2, Red 3, and all that stuff. So I think that's why they did that. They probably were taking their references from the movie when they were in the hangar, or they didn't realize which X-Wing was Luke Skywalker's, other than the fact that there's 5 lines here, which I think signifies Red 5. But if we can look at the results here, we have wings that do open, and we've got all the details in there. I've got about 7 layers of paint on this. especially in the colored areas. And we've got a lot of different shades of white and gray, and I did a lot of black. I wish I hadn't done all the black dry brushing. I wish I would have left that to the black wash, but it came out pretty good. I really like how the canopy and Luke Skywalker inside looks. It looks a lot more accurate. And that was really fun doing that for the first time. I think I'll be doing a Battlestar Galactica Viper next. If you guys like this video, let me know. It'd be nice to know whether you want me to do that. I've got this old Viper, which I was going to take the front off and see if I can make it so that a figure could fit in there, but the Battlestar Galactica figures are way bigger than this Viper ship, so I was thinking about repainting that and maybe not doing as much as I did with this one, but just repainting it and making it work, because it does have missiles that shoot out of it. So yeah, that was fun. I am, like I said, going to put this on display. I'll probably hang it up in my room so that I can open the wings. I know I left the landing gear down, and I wanted them to be down in case I wanted to display it like this. So if you enjoy this, please like this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. That really helps the channel out a lot. Share this video and hit the notification bell to see more videos like this. I've got over 200 videos in my library, so please take a look at those. I've got repair videos, restoration videos, review videos, haul videos, all kinds of stuff. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.